Okay. This week's parsha is Parshas Vayishlach Be'ezus Hashem. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim Lefonav V'leis Vochav Artz Seis Zayidem. Yaakov sent Malachim. Rashi says Malachim Mamish, real Malachim, because Malachim could be Shlichim. Also, Lefonav before him. Why before him? Esav Ochiv to his brother Esav, Artz Seis, the land of Seis Zayidem, the field of Edom. Now we have to start. Before we start about the explanation of the parsha, I'm going to go back a drop. You have Avram Avinu. To him come people as human beings, as anoshim, and v'inei shloisha anoshim. There is something a lot deeper than than the surface, what the face sees, what the fleshy eye sees. In last week's parsha we have Vina Melacha Lakim Oilim V'Yordim Boy. First they Oilim, they go up, and then they ascend V'Yordim, and they descend, they go down. So the kasha over there is Malachim should come from Shemayim. They should first go down and then go up. So Rashi says there's different Malachim from Eretz Yisrael, Malachim from Chutz Loretz. The Malachim from Eretz Yisrael, they went up first to get the Malachim, and we said that the whole kafla. The whole Eretz Yisrael was folded under Yaakov, sort of, and therefore he was like by the border. And another pshat, we said that if your mind is somewhere, your mind is already leaving as if you left already, and so on. So, but let's give another pshat over here. There's malachim of the day. They come up to Shemayim and they write up everything the man did that day. There's the malachim of the night. They write up in the morning what transpired in the night. There's malachim as well as there's Shabbos and weekday. And this brings me to the Rishna, the story. And the Rishna Tzaddik has this famous story that a Tzaddik came, a big rabbi, and he wanted to check up what's this Hasidic Rebbe. And he comes before Shabbos and he walks into the Rishna and he sees him, the pipe, smoking the lulka, the pipe, and he's all, that's what the Hasidic Rebbes do. And he looks out the window. That's what he's doing before Shabbos. It's 5 minutes to Shabbos. And that's what he's busy with, looking out the window. And he's like in a trance. And he comes over and he says, "What's going on?" So the Rishna sees that Medvemin handle. I don't know if he did some hypnosis. I don't know if he touched his face, his forehead, whatever he did, his eyes. But he said, "Come here, let me show you. Yeah, the Gross Kenner that knows Shas and Poiskim and knows everything forwards and backwards and Finale Zaitin, and he has 13 pshatim in this and 45 pshatim in that. Salt's fine and well, but you don't even scratch the surface. Let me show you something. Come here, and maybe you'll understand. For once, I'll show you something." Then, so this older person thinks, "Who you're gonna?" So he goes to the window. And he looks out, sees nothing. He says, so he touches his forehead, and all of a sudden he sees the weekday clouds moving to the side and making room for the Shabbos clouds. The weekday heaven is making room for the Shabbos heaven. The weekday, the Malachim and all the ganze enclave, the ganze Chadgadi, the whole Geschäft, everything is moving. And he's totally not only taken back, he started to shiver. He started to tremble. He chapped such a pachad. It was way, way, way more too intense for him and overpowering and overwhelming. And he started to, and so he put his hand again. So it goes, the name, the hand's not the, and he wakes him up sort of, and he says, "Wow, he never chapped. He thought you're looking outside." He says, I was looking, and I'm quelling the Shabbos. I can't wait. L'chodoidi, let's go out and let's see l'chunarana before we go to sing and praise Hashem. There's a lot more than what the fleshy eye sees. So with that, I want to come to this word. I heard this. I was once Shabbos when I was a bocher a few decades ago. I was by Rabbi Avram Stak. Oh, what a wonderful Jew, one of the sweetest Jews around today. And we would, it was after camp and some type of reunion, counselors, like a chef. So we went there. So Friday night, after singing and dancing, inside out, was mamash gavaldik. Whoever remembers it, it's an unforgettable Shabbos. So we decided, let's take a walk Friday night. We'll go to which Tish? The Vizhnitz Rebbe, the Holy Rebbe, and he was a Kodesh V'Torah. So we walk in Monsey, and we come to the corner, and there's an old Chassidish Yid. He's walking slowly, and we say Good Shabbos. He says Good Shabbos, and I don't know why. I asked him, I don't remember what it was, but he said a word, and he says, "Vayishlach Yaakov Maluchim." Yaakov send angels. Says Rashi Malachim Mamish. Why does Rashi say Malachim Mamish? And he says, because from Zaydim Gekimin, you come to the grandfather like a human being, humble, Tavram Avinu. But you want to come check out. And same similar story as the Rizhuna. There was an Einikel that became rabbi, and he took over his grandfather, and he's coming to check out the Einikel. How is he doing? And he says, so when the Einikel understood that this elderly, to him he was elderly rabbi, came to check him out, so he tells him this chat. To the Zaidi you came like a humble person, but to the Einikel you come like Maluchim Mamish, like Gans and the Maluchim to check out. So Esav tells him, Vayishlach Yaakov Maluchim. He says, take a ball for you can go, you can move on. If you don't trust me and you don't believe in the, and you think you're big Maluchim, by Maluchim is Vayishlach Yaakov. Avram accepted them, and Yaakov sent them off. My point over here is, before we start anything, it depends. It's what you plan to see. That's what you're going to see. If you come to criticize, you'll find only critic. And if you come to see with a true eye, it can be a critic eye. There has to be a person that sees the good in Hashem's world. You'll see something totally different. Okay, so with that, Vertel, I want to start the parsha. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. He sends out Malachim Mamish. Which malachim are they? What was the point of sending malachim? Why does Bichlal have to send malachim to Esav? Because maybe Esav wants to kill him. Why? Why now? Now he wants to go back to Yisrael. Now, when the Jews every time the Jews want to return to Yisrael, that's after. That's after the 40 years in the Midbar, right after they leave Mitzrayim with Amalek, and before they go into Yisrael, they have with Balak and Bilam and all that. After that, you have the second coming of the second base of Migdash, and when you have the story of Purim, and then the Holocaust before millions of Eden return to Israel, which is still going on now. You have the thing before you come to Israel. Esav jumps up, and I want to jump ahead and bring this out even more. It says, when it says about Esav's wives and his children, right here, it says, Vayla told us Esav who had it, and Esav lokach nosham, there's Kunan he took, and next person was Bosmas, and other had Eliphaz and so on. Or he Livoma Yoldas Yush and right as Koirach. Okay, Rashi speaks of that. V'yikach Esav es noshav, and what does he do with his noshav, bonov, noisov, and all the people? He takes everything that he possessed, and vayelech eretz, he goes to the land. Which land are you going to? It doesn't say. Why doesn't it say? Because it's not important where he went. The point over here in the pasuk is he left this place. He left it because Yaakov is brother. What does Rashi say here? It's a more gezach. Okay, let me just continue next pasuk. There were way too many his possessions and his animals and whatever he had. It was too much to share the place with Yaakov. It was too much to bear. In other words, too many. You need a bigger house, you need a bigger garage, and so on. So he left that. Okay. Now, where's Esav sit? Bahar Seir, Esav Edom. You have 2 points of it, Har Seir and Edom. We'll get to that in a second. But look at Rashi over here. Rashi says, not enough to pasture, not enough to gaze, the field and so on. Why because of the chiyuv that Yaakov has to go through of Kiger Yezracha Hamutal Azar Yitzchak, there is something about the children of Yitzchak, which are the children of Avram. They have to go through Mitzrayim, and Esav doesn't want to go through Mitzrayim. Omar, he said, let me get out of here. Why? I if the only way to gain Eretz Yisrael, to redeem, in other words, if I want to earn Eretz Yisrael nikna b'yisurin, you have to work yourself out. You have to go through trials and error, and to understand the deep understanding of a human being, not to hurt somebody else. I just saw a clip literally a few minutes ago. A friend of mine sent me a clip of Reb Shul Alta, the Reshiva from Ger, and he's a clip, literally a minute clip of his father. And his father said when people came to him, so he said the following. He said 80% of the people that come to him for terrible problems in their life, he remembers their parents. After 50 years, he remembers their parents and grandparents, and most of them, 80%, is because of what they did to others. Many people don't even realize they hurt other people. We all hurt people, and we don't realize that. We never meant. It's not Malaysia. There's no malice there. There's no intentional hurt for the most part. But we do hurt people. We didn't mean it. We lashed out. We weren't sensitive enough, and people hold that grudge. Or even if they don't hold a grudge, they were pain that moment, and pain causes pain. Pain brings more pain. If somebody because of me gets hurt, so then we get hurt, chas v'shalom. And therefore, we have to go through some sort of Mitzrayim, a personal Mitzrayim, collective Mitzrayim. Says Rashi, Asa says, I don't want these problems. What do I have to go through Mitzrayim in order to get Eretz Yisrael? I'm leaving Eretz Yisrael. I don't need this place, B'chlal. So now let's go back. Why does Yaakov send malachim b'chlal? What is he sending malachim to? What does he feel? And then let's go jump another. He asks him. He tells him the whole drasha, and then and yeah. So you have. Where's this? One second. Oh, right here. So, Vayishuva HaMalochim El Yaakov Leimer. What is Vayishuva HaMalochim El Yaakov Leimer? That's the Oisius Rosh Hashanah Eliyahu. Until the Malachim are, in general speaking, the Malachim are saying, Yaakov, Esav, you'll never brush off Esav. You'll have an Esav Lo'olam Vod in this world until Eliyahu comes and Mevasa the Mashiach. Only then you'll always have somebody, trying to eat up the Jewish nation. You'll always have somebody jealous of the Jewish nation. This point, Yaakov, you have to embrace that. You have to learn how to live with that fact that you cannot, throw off Esav off your back. He's going to always try to get you. He's going to always be jealous. The more you're successful, the more he'll be jealous. So, Vayishuva HaMalochim Yaakov Eimer is the Roshteiv's Eliyahu, not the Seder, Vav Hei, Aleph Yud Lamed. So you have to know. So how does Yaakov know? How does Yaakov know that in order to send malachim? What's very telling over here? It says El Esav Achiv. Okay, so send malachim to Esav. No, it says Arza Say. That's one. We mentioned it 2 minutes ago. In Sidei Edom. What do these two things say? What's Arza Say? What Say remind you? Reminds you the hands of Yaakov. He reminds you the Seir. He put on Esav's from the Seir. He was Soir, Ish Soir. He put on the skin of Gedi Izim, so that have full of hair, so that his hands should be Yidayim Yidei Esav. And then the second thing is Sedei Edom. What does he name his place? Edom. He names it Edom. So what's Pshat Edom? Edom is, I need that red. I need the color red. I need the bright red. I need the bloodiness. I need the whole I need the cherev. Al charbcha tichya. I don't have any other way. I need haliteni no. This redness. I need the redness. I need this rawness. I need the roughness. I need the street thug. I need all that. I need the killing and the raping and the stealing and the swindling. I need all that. So if Esav mentions these two, so here's another lesson, and the lesson is he never let go of the Bechorah and the Brachas. If he says Ish Seir, if he says Arzo Seir, the land of Seir, that means he still remembers the Seir, how I stole the Brachas with the fake hair and so on. If he still names this place today Edom, if it's the field of Edom, that means he still remembers that I bought off the Bechorah from Esav. He still has a grudge, he still can't let go, he still can't forgive, and he's still out to get me. If he puts the emphasis on the hatred that he has, the nekam he wants to take, Yaakov is afraid. So now let's go to one step deeper. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim, he sent out malachim. Rashi says malachim mamish. What's malachim mamish? So first of all, what is the malachim? If it's malachim mamish, who created these malachim? Now, we stated before there are two malachim that accompany people during the day, two malachim accompany at night. There's malachi choil, malachi Shabbos. Yes, but over here, malachi chutzos, malachi Eretz Yisrael. But over here you have malachim. Why can't people be enough? Well, you send people, he might harm them, might kill them. So you have to send malachim, that's number one. No, it has to be malachim mamish. But the other thing is, you send malachim lefonov in front of him, before him. Why? So there's two pshatim in this lefonov, but I want to get before that. You know, there's the Mishnah said, in other words, if you do one mitzvah, you create one advocate for yourself. So if these malachim, if these mitzvahs were done b'shleimus, so the malachim aren't handicapped, that means they can protect you. That means they can, relate the message. But if it's handicapped, he's in trouble, Yaakov. So Yaakov first of all says, he sends out malachim mamash. Who are the malachim? Now, he created these malachim through his mitzvahs. The question is, are they b'shleimus? Are they wholesome, perfect? So he sends him up to Shemayim. He says, check out the malachim. We have to jump back for last week. Yaakov, after he slept, he wakes up and says, Ochin yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh. There is, indeed, there's Hashem in this place. V'anoichin, I didn't know. So Pashup Pshat is, if I would know, I wouldn't sleep here. Okay. But there's a play in Remez, there's four, the Pardes, right? Pshat, Remez, Drush, Soid, right? So in Remez, and to find the Remez through Gematrias, Rosh Tevis, and so on, here you use the Rosh Tevis. Ochin has Aryeh, Kruv, Nesher, right? These are sort of pre-programmed symbols on the Kisa Koved of Aryeh. Kruv is like babies, like the Kruvim in the Kodesh Hakadosh, the Kruvim on the Orim, and then you have Nesher, the eagle. But Ochin, I knew Anoichi, the last Yud, added on Ochin and put a Yud as Anoichi. Yaakov, that I didn't know. We'll get back to Yaakov in a second at the next pasuk. But the point is, Yaakov says, Malachim, please go up in Shemayim and see if I'm shining over there, that means I'm doing good. If I'm not shining, that means I'm doing terrible. So please, first thing, go up Lefonov and see what kind of face does he have. And before you give the message, I want to know if I'm okay, if I'm good, if I'll be saved, if I'm protected. And he sends it to his brother, the Malachim. Now, which on the schus of which mitzvah? Now, there are mitzvahs that, you might have meant yourself. You want olam haba, al nasr kabel pras. You want to get rewarded. You want to get covered. And this mitzvah feels good, but it wasn't with the purest of intentions. So Yaakov takes a mitzvah that for sure there's no physical. Today we know with medicine that there is a physical gain. People live much longer, percentage maybe 40%, whatever it is. If you do have a bris, where there's no oxygen, there's toxicity, and there's all bacteria that grows up. So doing a bris is very healthy. Many times I know in Lvov people do a bris although, I mean, many non-Jews do a bris, even though they're not religious, but I'm talking about people that never wanted a bris. All of a sudden, they want a bris because the doctor said that you're having issues. So the point is, health reasons, but you don't do it for health reasons, and don't do it for getting a bike. When I came to Lvov, in the former Soviet Union, people were doing it for bikes. Okay, there were no rollerblades then, but there were skates and whatever. You don't do that. That's not. They hate you afterwards. Do it for the right reasons, to be patriotic, to be brave, to be loyal, to be committed, to be dedicated. And boy, oh boy, it's 10 times more effective. It's for the long term. At least you don't get the haters. You disrespected me. That I'm a little baby that for a bike I'll do a bris. I mean, I can't. It's beyond me. It's beyond me. It's beyond. What should I do? It's beyond me. Adrabah, do a bris, but do it for the right reasons, and then you feel like you gave up your life. You know how fulfilling that is for a lifetime. So Yaakov Avinu says, which is the mitzvah I did now Yaakov Avinu is two shittas, but one sheet is Noilid Mol. He was already born circumcised, so Yaakov's not about himself, but he brought 11 children as of now. Binyamin wasn't born yet, he was born at Yisrael, but now they're on the way to Yisrael. So Yaakov Avinu is bringing the mitzvah of Milah. There's no self-interest in that. There's no, it's Kulei Hashem, all totally for Hashem. So Yaakov brings this mitzvah Milah. You know, I'm going to jump ahead. It says here, where is this? When he meets Esav. Okay, here. Vayisi Yaakov, and he sees Esav with 400 people, right? And he puts first the shvachis, then Leah, then Yosef, and Rachel. Yosef stood before Rachel, and he bowed down 7 times. We're going to get to that soon. But he hugged him and he kissed him, and he picks up his eyes, right? And he sees the women and the children, and he says, "Who are those to you?" And he says, "It's what Hashem granted me." So over here we get the first thing that he brought, his children and everything else. Just a second. Where is this? It says, V'sachat also Yolodov is 11 children. 11 brisin. He did 11 brisin on the 11 boys. Now he had 12 children. He had dinos. So Chazal, exert from here that they extrapolate from the pasuk. Obviously, there was one that was hidden. It was Dina that was hidden. Now, how do you know it was Dina? Okay, but what's the mitzvah he used? Which mitzvah? Which malachim from a bris? Because that's pure, without ulterior intentions. If you take the word Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav, it's Vayomol, that he gave a bris, and you take the 11 children. And the schutz of the 11 children, that's what saved the day. Okay, so now let's go to the next pasuk. And he told them, tell them, I lived with Lavan. Relate this. Malachim, please relate this to Esav. Im Lavan garte, I lived with Lavan, and I delayed until now. What does that mean? And he tells them, please say weiter. I had a shor and a chamor, I had a bulls and donkeys and sheep and servants and maidservants. I want to have chen, I want to find favor in his eyes. So what are you telling Esav? You're teasing him to say that you're successful? That's not. So let's look at Rashi. Rashi says, Garti, im Loven Garti, I lived with Loven, I didn't become a minister, the Choshev, I'm a nobody. Look who I am. I'm the simple guy. I'm the quiet guy in shul. I'm the guy that without any titles. I'm not a prime minister. I'm not a president. I'm not even a minister, and I'm not the chief rabbi. I'm nothing. I'm a working man. I went and worked for my wife and children, and tried to build up a Jewish family. There's nothing special about me. And you want to tell me that I became, because of brachas of my father. Look, I became nothing of it. Says Rashi, it's not worthwhile to hate me. On the brachas that he said you should be a gvir lachecha more than your brother, you should be a gvir. Why? It wasn't mekoyim me. It didn't come to fruition. What does that mean? It didn't happen dafka me. He's not saying the brachas weren't mekoyim. He's saying it wasn't mekoyim in me. And how do you see that? Because he says, if he says be in me, what's be? If you take the word gvir, right? Gvir is a rich guy, which is richer than the others. That's the point of gvir. He's more of govar on the others, right? So gvir, if you take out the b from gvir, you have gimel beis yud reish. If you take out the two letters, the middle letters, you're left with gimel reish ger. I was left with a ger. So the brachas will mikoyim be, and therefore, there's no point of, don't use your energy to come attack me. You gain nothing. You want to put me down. I'm already down. I'm loving Garti. I'm mutzich for dozens of years. Garti is the gematria of Taryag. Kloimer, im Loven Rosh Garti, I lived with Rosh and Taryag mitzvah Shemati, and I kept the Taryag mitzvahs. I didn't learn from his bad deeds. I want to start from the end because I want to get it. I didn't learn from his bad deeds. Like, what does Esav care about this whole thing? Why does he care if you lived with him, where you lived, and the Taryag mitzvah Shemarti, that I kept the mitzvahs, his verses, and I didn't learn from his bad mitzvahs. So I want to say, when I was a bocher, they told me, I don't remember which of the stolen Rebbes, the Kalina Rebbes said that there was tainis, that I wasn't, he complained, he was in pain, that I wasn't as bought into it. I wasn't as dedicated. I wasn't as enthusiastic and passionate by my mitzvahs that like Esav was in his gashmias. My ruchnis wasn't as geshmak as the geshmak Esav had in his gashmias, and Yaakov was complaining sort of. So here's not bragging, just opposite. But if you go to the part of Rashi right before that, Koloimar, im loven harosha gati, I lived with a Rasha, and in spite that v'taryag mitzvah shemarti, and I still, in spite that, nevertheless, I kept the mitzvahs. So he's bragging over here. You think Esav cares if you kept mitzvahs or not? What's pshat in this whole thing? So we asked the same similar kasha by the next pasuk, Vayili shoy v'chamor. Why are you bragging that you have materialistic gain and materialistic prowess, and now you're talking about your mitzvahs, you're powerful in your mitzvahs too, not only the material. So what's pshat? So first, the second pasuk says, spiritually, I'm all there. I'm on top of my game. And then the next pasuk, the third pasuk says, materialistically, I'm also there. My financial score is like top dollar. I'm doing very well for myself. I made something out of myself. Why is he teasing Esav? The truth is, the Medrash says that it's like Yaakov, you're at fault that he came. Why'd you wake him up? In other words, you're schlepping the ear of the dog, of the angry big, you have a dog, let's say a lion, the Medrash says a dog, but let's say a lion, he's sleeping, he doesn't know what's going on. Why rates him on? Why tease him, wake him up, and then let him know about all that, and then he should come attack you? You asked for it. What's going on over here? So let's try to unpack it. You have, see, Yitzchak wants to give the brachas to Esav. Why does he want to give the brachas to Esav? Yaakov is Ish Tom Yoshev Olav. Yaakov sits in this medrash, and his mama, she's kol kulei kodesh, and everything is fine. But the question is, Yaakov, if you go out of yeshiva, if you go out in the business world, if you go out in the Welt der Welt, in the Milad Alma, Could you survive? Maybe you can't handle it. Maybe you don't have what it takes. You're good to sit in yeshiva, give shurim, and that's it. To go out and mesh with the world, to integrate with the world, and influence on a bigger scale, not only interior minister, but foreign minister, maybe you don't have it. And therefore, I'm not going to give you the nisayon of money and the nisayon of government and the nisayon of politics. You probably can, and Yaakov, Yitzchak thinking that Esav is a tzaddik, and he could handle it, so he wanted to give the brachas to Esav. Yisachar Zvulun, but he wanted to give the brachas because maybe Yaakov can. Comes Yaakov and says, no. Im loven garti v'tarig mitzvah shamarti, says Rashi. I went through the test of being out there in the world with the biggest soina of the Yidden Lovan. He's like the Satan himself. He's like the Nochach Shakadmoin himself. He wants to, Arami Oivedovi, he wants to kill and destroy and obliterate Yaakov and his own daughters and his own Einiklach, if that's what it takes to do away with the Jews, although his kids are Jewish, but he wants to kill them anyway. You dealing with the Lovin, with Lovin is the UN. Lovin is a smiling intellectual, cultured klumpish, as if cultured person, but he's the worst of the worst. The deepest of thievery, the deepest of evil. Love him with the smile. It's the worst thing in the world. And I survived that, and I came out with flying colors in V'tarig mitzvah Marti, and I kept all the mitzvahs, and I didn't learn from him. So is Yaakov bragging? No, Yaakov is saying, so you can see that my father was worried if he's going to give me the brachas, I might ruin it for everybody, because I won't be able to handle it. I handle it pretty well. I've got Vayishlach, my financial record is good. I was honest. A little bit here and there, he had to deal with Lavan. He had it takes one to know one. But the point is, in general, what he's saying is, I passed the test. My father Yitzchak was worried that if I get the brachas, I might ruin it. I might fall apart. I can't handle all that money. I can't handle all that fame. I can't handle being a performer. I can't handle being a foreign minister. I can't handle being a leader of a nation and all nations, the exemplary nation for all nations. And therefore, he wanted to give Esav more suitable for that job. It turns out I showed that I proved myself that I could be. Thank you very much. I can prove you can come in. So he's saying that, no, I proved myself. Let's go a little weiter. Im Loven Garti v'echar adota. I delayed until now. What does that mean? He delayed until now. Yaakov is the Bechir Shabbos. Yaakov is the most Yuknoi. Yaakov has the Yuknoi of Adam Rishon, and he's chokuk. He's engraved al kisa kovid on the throne of Hashem, together with the Aryeh, Kruv, and Nesher. Aryeh is a lion, Kruv are babies, Nesher is an eagle, and so on. Some the tiny Nesher is not eagle, but Pashut, how everybody says Nesher is eagle, so we'll say Nesher eagle. So our birds that fly higher than a Nesher, the kids or whatever. The point is that higher, not that a Nesher higher than an eagle. That's what. So I once heard a shir I was in Borough Park from Rabbi Deutsch from the museum, the Jewish Torah Museum in Borough Park in Brooklyn, New York. And he timed it. It's not so I forgot what the name of the bird that he says, but it sounds pretty convincing. So I don't know. But in any case, Yaakov is chokuk al kisa kovet. He's engraved, carved out in the kisa kovet. Yaakov is the beauty. He's the beauty semblance of a human being. That means they chose Yaakov out of all human beings in the world, in history. And Yosef looks like him, and the Torah says Yifei Mara. It is absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, and therefore Yaakov has this amazing beauty. And so Yaakov is a resemblance of Adam Rishon Mamish. And Adam Rishon couldn't get the brachas. Why? Because he ate from the Eitz Hadas, and after the Chet, he couldn't get the brachas. He was thrown out of Gan Eden. He can't be the bearer of the brachas. He can't hold the brachas. So Yaakov says, I'm his connection. I'm his extension. And Yaakov says, now I could hold the brachas. Why? Because Yaakov says, I didn't mess up. So Va'echar Adota means I didn't get the brachas until now, but now be maskim that I deserve the brachas. And that Esav says, when he was rational for 1 second, Esav says, Yihilcha Ashalach, so be it, you should have what belongs to you. What's Ashalach? Ashalach is the brachas that Adam Rishon was supposed to get. He didn't get, but Yaakov got as not a Gilgal, but sort of a Gilgal of Adam Rishon. He continued, and he did deserve the brachas. Okay. Yaakov, there are two sort of people. One type of person is, I daven, he does nothing lemaisa. He does davening, which is very lemaisa, but he doesn't do any ishtadlus. And he says, my ishtadlus is davening. I don't know, I'm not a professional, I'm not a talented, I'm just a simple guy. So I don't know how to get things done. But then you have somebody that knows how to get things done, and he puts his whole might and all his talent into the shtadlus, and he forgets to daven. So you need both. So Yaakov starts with doiren, tefillin, and mulchama. He prepares for his shtadlus to do your part, and also yes, daven Hashem fatzlocha. That's the what's it called? That's the ultimate. Now, so the malachim come back. And the Malachim say that Tzoros, he's got 400 people. What's 400 people? 400 people is 400 is Ayin Ra. Ayin Ra is 400 people. The gematria of 400 is Ayin Ra, a bad eye. Esav wants to bring that bad eye into Yaakov. And Yaakov is not afraid, because Yaakov says, no, it's not going to work. Why not? It says, Vayili shoyer v'chamoyer. I have shoyer v'chamoyer. What's shoyer and chamoyer? Shoyer is b'choy shoyer hodoloi. That's Yosef HaTzadik. I've got Yosef and I'm protected. What's chamoyer? Chamoyer is Yisoscha. Which two powers does Yaakov come with? He comes with shoyer, which is Yosef. That's Midas Yisoid in Kabbalistic, in the 10 numbers. That's number 6 of the 7 emotional Midas measures. And that is the kedusha part of the body. That is the kedusha part with Yosef fought Ashes, the Yetzirah of Ashes Peitifar, and he withstood, and he didn't do the thing. He didn't have relationship with Ashes Peitifar, and Yosef conquered that. With that conquering, Yosef is sort of immune. He has the power of kedusha, of holiness. He has the power of everlasting exclusivity with Hashem. Ma ki kodesh ani, kadosh b'kodesh ani. And he says, I have God with me. And Esav, you don't even go there, don't even try have. But you're gonna have the koyach haTorah. So you're gonna say, 1 second, I have bechor shoy, I have chamoiroi. I have shoyr, that's Yosef, and I have the power of Yisoscha, Chamor. What's Yisoscha? Yisoscha is Chamor. Why is he Chamor? Yisoscha Chamor Goren. Roigitz ben Amishpetzai. What is the side of Chamor? Chamor is the lowliness of Choymer. It's matter. It's physical material. What's the mile of Chamor? You take the ox, and you take the horse. The other animals that work in the field or schlep, when they go to sleep, just take the yoke off me. I just want to sleep. Let the person get off. I want to rest. The chamor goes to sleep with the masa, with all the bags, with all the luggage, with all the negative. Chamor knows how to survive and live with all the problems. He says, no, I can't. Now that I have problems, I can't function. No. I could function. I'm all there. Chamor, we said last week, similar to that, you can go to sleep and serve Hashem while sleeping if you're doing it for good reasons. when a person goes to sleep and they learned before, so you have after 15 minutes, in 15 minutes, half hour, you have the short-term memory that is stored in the memory compartment. But after you go to sleep for 2.5 hour, especially 2 hours, you get it installs the long-term memory that a person. When my mother told me once, Vayishlach, go to sleep and in the morning you'll remember much more because you did the information. Now you can't remember. You sleep over, the memory will go in. Don't worry about it. The point is that if you go to sleep and you're trying to restore or store the memory of what you learned the day before, it's serving Hashem. So the Chamor, even when he's sleeping, he still has all that on him. So that's his soschor, that's always ready and dedicated. Even when he's sleeping, is serving Hashem. So Yaakov says, I've got the Kedusha power, that protection, and I have the protection of Torah, and you don't stand a chance. That's what Yaakov is trying to tell the Malachim, if they can relate that. So the Shaila is, he says, V'tareg mitzvah shamarti? You kept all the mitzvahs? Which mitzvahs did you keep? There are hordes of mitzvahs, like many, even in the hundreds that you can't keep, especially those that a kohen, okay, then he's a bechor still, but why the Esav has kibbud of, and Yaakov is afraid of that. So how could you keep it up if you're not home? At that point, he wasn't home 14 years. He learned, and then he was there 20 years, 34 years, he's not home. Okay, so 14, where you learned in yeshiva, it's not counted. But at this point, it was 20 years he wasn't home, 20 plus years, and then another 2 years till he made it home because he stopped in Sukkot. And Bekitzer. So Yaakov didn't have kibbud of, Esav did, and that's why he's afraid. And that's why, and he says katointi, all that. He's afraid of that. So where's the mitzvahs? So here's the word. We said it in past shurim, but we have to chazer it. If it's tareg mitzvah shomarti, what means shomarti? It's not only I safekeeping or keeping, observing. Tareg mitzvah shomarti means I waited for it. I couldn't wait for the next Yom Tov. I was so excited. I learned this forum. I invested. I couldn't wait for the next parasha. I invested halachas, and I'm trying to connect Hashem in every which way. And I want to find out more about the Gedolim, so I'm reading up on them. I want to find out about the Mefarshim more. And I want to connect when somebody's Shomarti. So, yes, there's no Beis HaMikdash. But when I read the Karbonis, and I learn them every morning before Psukah de Zimra, and every Mincha before Ashrei, I'm trying to connect the Vayishlach Karbonis Akirva to connecting. I want to connect to you. I'm yearning your love, your Kirvas Elokim li toiv. Good when you have Kirvas Elokim. I want that kirva, and a person yearns for the time. I can't really connect. I can't relate to the slaughtering animals. Okay, but you could, the connection they got, the sacrifice of an animalistic part of your body, you could connect to, and just the rider should come out living, but the horse part of you, the Bahamis part of you, the animalistic part of you, that you can sacrifice for Hashem. So when a person connects to Hashem in that way, it's pretty uplifting. And if a person could connect in that way, so it's as if you did. What does it say by the Rosh V'Kabel Schar, right? Ben Soyer says Rosh V'Kabel Schar. What does that mean? Rosh V'Kabel Schar. Lo Yehoyev Lo Nivra. So how could it be if there was never? If the Gemara says one sheet over there that it never took place, so why would you learn it? Rosh V'Kabel Schar doesn't mean only if you learn it you get schar for learning. No. This is learning. There's a separate schar for learning. There's a schar of kiyum mitzvah. That's the word. The word of here is more than. There's a separate schar for learning. But besides the fact you're connecting intellectually with Hashem, with His thought, you're learning His thought, the way He's thinking, and His thought, and what He wants, so that you get schar for that. But over here, I want to get schar. I want to connect in a way of kiyum mitzvah. If I feel the mitzvah, I learn it, and I imagine I'm trying to retrieve the lessons of Ben Soyer Moira. The father and mother have to be shova. They can't argue, and you need the kid should totally, and the whole ideas of. So we said it when we learned the parsha. But the thing is that if you extract all those lessons and you feel it and you live those lessons, so then you have the roish. Because you learned it, you can mechabes for doing that mitzvah, although that mitzvah never existed. So the same over here. When you come over here, Yaakov wanted but his father told him go marry. It's his fault. 7 years, another 7 years, and then 6 years. For myself, I forgot the lashon, but I don't want to take time there. I want to build up a Yiddish shtul. I want to provide. I want to be able to not only what Yena gave me. I want to create something of myself. I want to be self-sufficient. So the fact that why did he get why was he punished 22 years with missing Yosef, right? That he thought Yosef was dead, because the last you should have came home right away. After 20 years, you should have came home. It took him 2 years to get home. You should have came home right away. Then it wouldn't be a problem. The fact that when you have an opportunity to come and then you didn't come, you could have called and you didn't call. Oh, now you get punished for the rest of the time also, because it wasn't because you were busy. It was because you neglected. It was neglect, pure neglect. So Shomarti means I tried to be Mekayim Kibbud Avim, and I couldn't. Physically, I couldn't, but I always wished for it. I meant well. I wished them well. I thought about them all the time. So you have in what does that mean? If you look at the tzitzis and you remember, what does that mean? You remember all the mitzvahs. You're scanning? No. If you remember the mitzvahs and you concentrate on the mitzvahs and you learn the mitzvahs, you learn it enough to remember it, and you're focusing, you're trying to live. Theoretically, you're trying to live the mitzvahs. So I'm considering it vasis mois as if you did it. So Yaakov Avinu can fairly say, in love and galti, and in spite that v'taring mitzvamati, all the mitzvahs, even those that not negeya in these days, there's no Beis Hamikdash, you can be mekayim all 630 mitzvahs. The other way is to be ma'achad with Klal Yisrael, but push it from the learning part of it. Okay. So I just want to reiterate. So he wants to put an ayin hara into Yaakov, and Yaakov says first kedusha and Torah. I've got Yosef and Yisachar, and they protect me. But what about the ayin hara? So the ayin hara over here again, we have Yosef. Yaakov tells Yosef and through his children, the yidgu laroiv bekeravot in the Malach HaGoyel in Vayichi, when he's giving the brachas to Ephraim and Menashe. What does it mean? V'yidgu l'roiv. V'yidgu from the lashon dog, right? That's 7 dal gimel. Now for now, l'roiv they should multiply b'kerev oretz. What is that? So the Gemara said lo yisholta be'ena. Fish don't have ayin hara. Why don't fish ayin hara? Because they're in the sea. Then the sea, you don't see them, so the eye can't see. You can't be jealous. You can't be judgmental, and they're good to go. So Yosef Atzadik has the bracha of Yid Geloiv B'Kerev Oretz. Says Yaakov, my son is like dog, not only shor but also dog, and dog does lo sholta be'ena, and you have no ayin hara, so you can't come with your ayin hara of 400. So Yaakov comes, and Yaakov, in essence, Yaakov says it's not worth the whole thing. But I want to go weiter. So Vayira Yaakov moed vayetzeloi. And he's afraid, so Rashi says he's afraid by Yira to be killed, by Yetzer, that maybe he'll kill others. A cute thing, Shem Yarages Achedim, who's Achedim? Shem Yarages Esav. Why Shem Yarages Achedim? That means he's killed somebody. So Achedim, so they want to say it's Rameya. Rameya is Achedim. the story with in Gittin over there by the Churban Beis Hamikdash. So he went and he was in the sky and V'yotzmenu Rameya, right? So he if he kills Esav, then the whole big one of the great sages of all time, Rameya, he doesn't want it. In Shas for sure. So he doesn't want Chas v'Shalom that Rameya shouldn't be. That's a big loss for Klal Yisrael. So he says he's afraid to kill Esav. Okay. But what's pshat over here? Before I go to this pshat, I have to go to here's a story with Chamor after the story with Vayisov Vayichid and Vayov Yaakov Luza, and then comes the Voira, and then afterwards Hashem tells him, you won't be Yaakov, you be Yisrael, and then he says, okay, the next one. So after he promises him, Anikel Shake Prereveyu, you should multiply, nations will come out of you. Kings also, and then the land that I promised you, Tavrom Yitzchak Yaakov, I'll give to you and to your children. I'll give this land. And he goes over there and he puts a matzeva, and he pours oil. I'll get back to the oil in a second. And he calls it Beis Kei. And he leaves Beis and Rachel Chas v'Shalom dies, and afterwards he buries her, and he says, He matzeves kvuras Rachel adayim. This is the matzeva of kvuras Rachel adayim. I want just to remember these words. This is the matzeva of kvuras Rachel till today's day. Okay, now I want to go back. So Vayiri Yaakov, he's afraid of Esav because Esav might kill him. Why? Because he has kibbutz, and he didn't have kibbutz, whatever. And there are other reasons. He says Kantoitim kol chasodim, but Pashut pshat over here. Vayiri Yaakov, and he's afraid he might kill others. What's pshat? What is he afraid? I have to jump back to Rachel, and I'll get to Rachel in a second. I first want to say a story. I was bombarded today with multiple people sending out this clip that apparently last Friday, and then before I came, I got another clip that was a mistake in that story, whatever. So if Hashem sent me today, I feel I have to share it because not everybody understands Yiddish and so on. There was a guy, Tully Lichtenstein. I have no idea who it is. Apparently, American bacher in a Satmar Monsey yeshiva, and the story goes that there was an Israeli bacher that came to America to learn with them in yeshiva, and they were in the same class. They would the weekday they ate in yeshiva, but Shabbos they would go out to families. So they go out to families. This bacher is pretty fresh, very bashful. Both are very good bachrim, edle bachrim, but the Israeli bacher, apparently nobody told him he shouldn't shmutske when he eat. When he ate, the whole city knew about it. The whole, and he made so many noises, like different. It drilled everybody around. And if somebody would tell him, like, close your mouth, it's not my business, and the whole town doesn't have to know that you have a sumptuous meal in front of you with a marvelous appetite. That clearly you're mamish kvelig, enjoying the meal with all the noises, with all the sound effects, but nobody told him. And I don't know, maybe they were deaf, and I don't know. Nobody told him. Nobody paid attention. Maybe his family was making the same noise. I don't know. Nobody told him. So he's a bacher. He comes into yeshiva, very impressionable, and he didn't chap. So he comes to the guy in this big rich house, and a bunch of bachrim there, and there's a big to-do. That Shabbos was a special Shabbos, I don't know what, but apparently everybody was there. And this bacher, this Tully Lichtenstein, sat next to him, and he couldn't take it. I mean, he says, he couldn't. He's drilling him. I don't know, sometimes it irks like crazy. And he screamed out like he didn't happy was screaming. And it got quiet for a second. He says, "What are you schmutzka? What do you have to drill my ears? Can't you close your mouth? Nobody taught you." And it was the beginning. He just came from Israel. And he's trying to make a good impression into this new place they didn't know. But he was so booshed out. And he walks to yeshiva after that. And everybody remembers him. He has this title, the Bocher der Schmotschkes. He's and everybody looks at him. All they can remember is they don't know how he looks like. They don't know what he had, any achievements, every life accomplished. They just remember the Bocher der Schmotschkes. He was so embarrassed. At that time, it hurt him so badly that day. So he said, "What a Rosh Marusha." He cursed him that no other children should be created from this bacha because they might be so rude and cruel like him. So this universe should never see somebody like that. And a few weeks later, everybody forgot. And he just knew that he had to keep his mouth closed and he couldn't make so many noises. That's right. And he learned and he forgot about that there was a time that he didn't, whatever. 20 years goes by. He gets married. He has a bunch of children. And in the last year, he had sodas tzerudas from his younger kid, in hospital, in and out the whole time. Checking out, they found what's wrong. They're going to do operation. It turns out it wasn't their thing. The next thing, they can't figure out, but such sodas, and he can't take it. And he comes to, before Yom Nerom, he comes to Miron. He's going to daven his heart out. He's going to, and he davens. This is before Yom Nerom. I don't know exactly when, before Rosh Hashanah. And somebody tells him, why don't you go over here? There's a chacham, a Kabbalistic chacham. And he reads the Ksaviyat. And why don't you go to that guy? He says, "Hey, I know to tell him Tia, you know what I mean? I'm not one of those guys. But you tried everything. You went to Brachas, you went to Atzlach. Why don't you go?" He's a Erlich, the rabbi says, "He's a Kabbalist, okay." So the guy tells him where to go, and he goes, and he looks at his hand, and he says, "Look, you have a grudge." He says, "I have a grudge on nobody." He says, "No, you clearly had a lot of pain. This is about 20 years ago. I mean, I can tell this is at this and this age or whatever." He says he sees it. So he tried to, recall and he was going. And remembered, this story that happened to him, the guy made fun of him in front of everybody. It was impressionable. He was shy and he's a new guy in the block and everybody laughed at him. He cursed the guy out. So he said, that's what the trouble is coming from. That's where you have trouble. So why put now? He says, I don't know, probably that guy, whoever did it, is davening. Maybe you had a pod on him and maybe he was hurt and whatever. The kid, his wife says, wow, you should be moichelim because we're having a lot of tzaras with this kid's health. So he says moichel. So he says he's moichel. And okay, sure. So his wife says, wouldn't you call up the guy? Maybe the guy's suffering. I don't know. How do I find the guy? I'm in Israel. He's American. How would I? It turns out this Tuli Lichtenstein is married 13 years and he never had children. And he went to Boine Olam and they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and nothing working. And the Boine Olam is just about to give up. They said, you might have to just give up. And there's nothing more painful in the world than hearing that. So he goes to Yisrael, he wants to daven and so on. Before it's Yisrael. And he goes to daven and he's all broken, mamish, the depth of his heart, he davens. Obviously, Hashem orchestrated that. And what happens is that before Yom Nerom, they both meet up in Eretz Yisrael. Oh, Shalom Aleichem, good old friends from Yeshiva. He has no clue. And this guy said, what are you doing here? You're in America? Yeah, I came here. From this Rebbe, I came to, I don't know what. Maybe, I don't know what it was, but he came to somebody. And he said, it's Mamish Basher. I was going to tell you, I had no way of contact. I didn't know how to get a hold of you. But my wife is begging me, nudging me, I should tell you. This is already a few months, maybe half a year, whatever it is. I don't know. and I'm trying to get a hold of you, but I don't know how. So it's Mamish Bashet that we met up in Iran, and he tells him the story. And what does he tell him? He tells him that he has a bunch of kids, Baruch Hashem, and Lamaisa, that he had such solace with health, and now. So he went to this Chacham, and the Chacham said, you have a grudge on somebody, and he didn't know who. And he reminded us of the story that happened 20 years ago, literally 20 years ago. So by this time, this guy is probably crying. He doesn't even remember. He can't recall. I embarrassed you. I never embarrassed anybody. I have embarrassed anybody. Both of them are the most edel of people. But it happens. It was a Politas pair just came out. He couldn't even remember that story. I made fun of you? Never. I adored you. Such a Talmud Chacham, such an edler. You were better than me. You were from Eretz Yisrael. You were more learned than me. I wish to be like. I heard. Yeah. Kitzur. So he said he was moichel him, and that second, like literally the next day, after his moichel, all the diagnosis, all the X-ray, all the MRIs, all the CAT scan, garnish. It's clean. It's pure. The kid's totally healthy, and I clearly see that I was moichel you that affected my child, like this Chacham said. So I wanted to tell you that I'm moichel. I don't know what's on your end. And he's crazy. He's going crazy. He tells him which day was it, and he looked up. It was that day. It was Punkt that day that his wife got pregnant, not from Boin Olam. Well, Boin Olam did whatever they were able to, not from any treatment, no procedures, no treatment. Poshut, she got pregnant. His wife became pregnant, and he's telling him his half of the story. And last week, apparently Friday, there was the bris. So what's the word of the whole story? If you hurt Yenim, you get hurt yourself. And Yaakov says, he's afraid he's going to hurt Yenim, and then he'll be hurt. Yaakov says, I've got Kodesh on my side. I've got Kedusha of Yosef. I've got Torah, Koyach HaTorah of Yisachar. And I have a Shamarti. I always yearn to keep Kibbud Aveim, but I couldn't. So it was Chartem, because it's Chartem is called mitzvahs. That's why it's Vasis, as if I did all the mitzvahs. Yaakov is saying, Droish v'kabel schar. Kabel schar, as if I did the mitzvahs because I learned it and I meant it and I felt it. I yearned for it. But the issue is I might hurt Esav, and if I hurt Esav, I'll be hurt. So Yaakov says, he was very distressed. He doesn't want to get hurt, and especially not his children. Yaakov gets avtocha ushmarticha. I'm going to safeguard you. I'm going to keep you. But the kids didn't get that avtocha. He's worried. Eimal bonim. So when Yaakov is afraid to hurt Yenim, he doesn't want to get hurt himself. Chas v'shalom. So Yaakov says, so Yaakov, what does he do? He separates and he puts l'shnei machnes. Why? He says, if Esav will come attack one machna, the other machna will be nishul lefleita. They'll survive, right? What's the word over here? The word is that First of all, he davened. Tefillah is a mechza. Tefillah does half, and if Tefillah does half, then Baruch Hashem. I mean, he half survives. But besides that, Yaakov tactically, strategically, he puts a day in between each other. Why? Because if you attack one side, and we see it Lamaisa, when the Holocaust was in Europe, America was saved, the Jews, the other half was saved, and another 3 million ran to deep into Russia and so on, according to some. But the point is, it was basically half between Europe and other countries, and Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and so on. And Hashem Shnei Machnes, we saw that in history, but we saw it Ashkenaz versus the Sephardi countries. We saw it in history. It's a known thing. But the point is that I'm going to keep a day in between. And if Rivka says Loma Eshkel Gam Shneichem V'Yom Echad, that both are going to Nevi'as, that both will die in the same day. It doesn't mean die. It means the Kvura will be in the same at the same time. Loma Eshkel, because after Kvura you start the morning, right? So MOUR, right? Morning, that's Avelus. So after that, so therefore Yaakov knew that because Rashi says, I'm going to fight. What's this different going to fight? If I fight Esav and he kills Chas v'Shalom Yaakov, but also he will be killed the same day, then the fight is off, the war is over. So Yaakov said, Voya Machan initial later, because I'll separate them 2 days. So Rashi says, so Yaakov says, Elokei Ov Avram, Elokei Ov Yitzchak, Hashem says, return, and I'll do good for you. Because I give maklevat v'yidu shnei machnes. What's katointi mikol hachasodim? Somebody says, katointi, I am way less worthy than what you gave me. Somebody approaches Hashem like that I am. Everything is chesed, everything is matnas chinam. You get your way. In essence, over here is, if Yaakov says, I am great, bragging about himself, then Hashem is not on his side. But if he says, Katoitim kol hachasodim, everything I amassed is not derech hateva. No, it's not derech hateva. I got it because, I trusted in Hashem, I did ishtadlus, and I did the right thing, and Hashem helped me. With that, Yaakov has the strongest taina. What does Yaakov say? In Lavan Garti, because I lived with Lavan, and Lavan tried to destroy me, tried to obliterate me, chas v'shalom, therefore v'hilu shoyvach hamoed shem v'vidishivcha. Because he tried to obliterate the Jew, he tried to destroy the Jew, he tried to harm the Jew. That's why the Jew is like by Mitzrayim, is the more you hit them, the more they flourish, the more they blossom. So if it's katointi, it's not me, it's Hashem. So the more you try to hit Hashem's children, the more you're going to get just the opposite result. Esav's not worthy. So then Yaakov says, please, Yad Ochi is like the West. They're nice to the Jews, America, with more assimilation, many more Jews destroyed than the Holocaust. Now, the Holocaust is awful, chas v'chalila, but the point is that Ochi is even worse in the terms of Yaakov's grandchildren than Esav. Esav is the warrior, and when he plays brother, when he plays like friend and influences you in a bad way, in assimilation, we lose many more Jews. Mamish like flies, literally 70, 80, 90%. So that's a lot worse. So the first thing, save me from my brother, and then save me from Esav, because I'm afraid from because the Aim Albana don't have the protection that I have. Says Yaakov, but you said that Heitev Etiv Imoch, I'm going to do twice good. I'm going to put your children like like the sand of the ocean, at the beach of the ocean. They won't be, they can be counted. Now over here, it's not like Kikoicha Shemaim, which everyone is separate, right? They have more freedom. But the point is, here's a gush together. I'm going to make them powerful because they're together, the togetherness. Where do you see that Hashem told Yaakov, hey, Tev. You see it because the 7 days of the week, every day is for a different roya. There's Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, David. What's Yaakov? If Sunday is Avram and Monday is Yitzchak, Tuesday is Yaakov, and Kitov, it says twice, Pamayim Kitov, Yom Shehuchbul by Kitov. So that's why Heitev Imach. And then he took the Gemalum, and we get to, and he told them, tell Esav, Minchi shluch aladoni Esav inigam ocharei. And then he says the second and the third and so on. And then he's trying to appease Esav. And he sends forth the matonis and he separates them. It should look like more and everything else. And it says over here, Vayikach min abo biyodai. He took from min abo biyodai. What is min abo biyodai? It's offhand. So Chazal teach not like that. Vayikach min abo biyodai. Poshup Pshat is what he had. It's not that. It was very cheshbon, right? The balaturum of everything. Izma Saim Siyosheves. Where's that? Izma Saim Siyosheves. Rechelim Samelim. It's all mem. So here's one pshat. How do you know? It's a Rabbi Yehuda Chassid famous. How do you know? You put your hand on the behema and you stride it throughout the top of the behema. If the behema is machnia, it submitted itself. It puts down its head while you're putting your head on you're sliding your head on top of the behema, the kettle. Then you know it's a kosher. And if it stands still strong, like with pride, it doesn't move. Then it's treif. And if it's treif, so it turns out Yaakov gave Esav the treif animals that he can't use, and especially treif. Another reason, so it's a balmum for ben noach, and you can't bring it to a korban because otherwise Esav is going to bring it to korban to avodah zarah. So he made sure that it wasn't kosher, and he didn't get rid. Another pshat mina bo biyodai is what he outsmarted Lavan, and that's what he gave to Esav. He didn't want to have a no from that. But what came from Shemaim, the blessing from Shemaim by Yaakov, that he took for himself. Okay. Here's a big topic I want to address. The topic of bowing down. So we know we have to fix this bowing down that Yaakov bowed down to Esav. So it says, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefonov. He put malachim lefonov. So he bows down to the malachi elikim and not to Esav. So he put a barrier. That's normal. Esav can't see the malachim. Yaakov knows the malachim there. So he's bowing down to the malachim. Also, it says, V'hu ovar lefneim. V'hu is Hashem. Who Elokeinu, who Avinu, and Hashem is considered the and who over Lefneim. So you have Yaakov is really having a mind to bow down to Hashem, but Lemaise it looked like Yaakov bowed down to Esav, and that's why we have the story. Remember the story of the Gemara says Abaya. There was a shade of mazik in the shul, and he used to hurt everybody. So if there came in a bunch of people, a lot of people, it's chus of the tzibur, but one or two guys came there, he was mazik them, he hurt them. So Abai didn't know what to do, but then he heard that Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov is coming. Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov, Reis Tzaddik. So he told everybody, nobody, the Gemara says that he told nobody should invite him home. So he'll sleep in shul on the bench. The kids, so nobody invited him home. He slept in the shul. Comes midnight. He comes into shul. He has to daven ma'ariv still before midnight, and all of a sudden this mazik comes, and he comes in a form of a snake with 7 heads. So the Gemara says, so every time he davened Shemoneh Esrei, every time he bowed down, the 7 times bowed down Shemoneh Esrei. The Baruch, you bow down your knees, and Ato, you bow down on your whole shedra, your whole spine. The 18 chulios, right? And you bow down fully. So that's Baruch Ato, and then Hashem, by Hashem, you're supposed to be straight up, because it's not nice to speak to Hashem. So the Baruch Ato in the beginning of the first Baruch Shemoneh Esrei, Baruch Ato, and Hashem, and the end of the first, and then there's Moedim, by Moedim Anachnu Loch, and Shatu Hashem, you have to be standing up already, and then you have Baruch Ata Hashem Atoy Shimcha L'chol Ha'olam, again the beginning and the end of the Bracha of Moedim, and you have 3 times Oysa Shalom B'Groimov to the left, we have Shalom Aleinu to the right. Some people do right and left, but the way we do it is left and then right and then center, because Hashem is Shvis Hashem Negdi Summit. We do first left because that's Hashem's right, and then left, and then forward. So you have 7 times. You have twice in the first bracha, twice in the second to the last bracha, and then 3 times when you do Oysa Shalom. When he did these 7 times, each time he knocked out this snake's head, And then by the last, that was the last tet, and at Gepeget, he died, and there was no more mazik in that place. Now he had kindness. Why do you? Kitzur, Rabbi said, who can do it but you, Rabacha? So why Punkt Rabacha? Rabacha Bar Yaakov. Rabacha comes from the Gilgal of Yaakov. He had some part of the Gilgal of Yaakov. He had that in him to take. So Yaakov wanted it, the 7 tumas in the Satan, and the Satan has for that 7 names. So Yaakov, with every bow, he bowed down. Every bow, he took away another tumah, and he overcame the tumah and tumah and the name of Satan. So he sort of controlled kisarisa type of thing. So why is Yaakov punished? Yaakov is punished because it looked like he bowed down. So you have 11 children, and 11 children are bowing down, and then you have Dinah in the casket in the box. Now, Dinah, how do you know it's Dinah? Because Chazal teach, why was the Beis Hamikdash built in Binyamin's Chelik? The Kodesh HaKadoshim is Binyamin's Chelik. Why? Because Binyamin was the only one who wasn't born yet, and he was the only one who didn't bow down to Esav. If you don't bow down to Esav, then if there'll be any other brother in the box, not Dinah, then it would say, right? So the fact that Binyamin was the only one that the Beis Hamikdash wasn't his Chelik, therefore we know that Binyamin was the only one who didn't bow down. That means all of them bowed down. Dinah didn't. Now, there's a big problem over here. So what do we do today to fix that? We bow down to Hashem 7 times to fix what Yaakov bowed down. He should add more bitachon and so on. But again, he did what he knew to do, and he knew how to do, which is in Golus we bow down and we give them attention. We say, you're the boss. We're in Golus now. And it takes away many, many fights. When people brag and people show off, it doesn't go well with the rest of the world. The next I didn't, maybe I shouldn't skip. Okay, I'll get back to Dinah, but I'll get back to Dinah. But let me first go with the Fiaseda. So when Yaakov comes to Esav, right? I have to jump ahead with Yaakov and the Malach. I want to jump ahead. So he comes and he comes and he meets Esav, and they bow down 7 times, and he runs across. Esav runs towards him, and he hugged him and kissed him, and Vayifka, and they cried. So Rashi says, Vayishakeu nokudolov. It was, is nekudis on the word Vayishakeu. Now that tells Dorshen. It says you have to. So yesh cholkem adover hazeh b'rais yesh dorshen nekudis uloyim shalei noshka b'choliba. He didn't kiss him with his whole heart. But Amar of Shimei Chai Alochi we do sheisa sonel Yaakov. There's just like halacha doesn't change the circumstance, it changes. So you have to apply whatever is applicable. But the point is, halacha is halacha. If somebody tells you, you see, why don't we accept other religions? The rabbis can make all the siyugim and tanaisim, and the rabbis can make all gedorim, and rabbis can create mitzvahs and take away whatever it is. But so why can't the other religions do that? They did away with the mitzvahs. What are they different than our rabbis? The teretz is the rabbis didn't change the halacha. If it wasn't negay, okay. But the rabbis didn't change. If somebody takes, I don't care how many moisim he does, the Torah says, don't be impressed. If somebody tells you that from today on you don't have to do certain mitzvahs, or you don't have to keep the lavim, so then he's out. I don't care who he is. Before all the proofs, I don't have to come out to prove. If he did away with halacha, then he's out. That's it. There's nothing to talk about. So if anybody comes to you and he says resurrection and all garbage that they sell baloney, they have no proof. Adrab, it's cheap garbage. But even if they prove to you, but if they break halachas, then it's all over. Yeah. If they change Shabbos to Sunday, that's it. Forget it. Right. So halacha means you can't veer off halacha. Halacha is halacha. So same over here is take the klal without asking questions. Be a dua. Esav hates Yaakov. And he hates him. So why would you say he kissed him? That's what Rashi is bavorning. Says Rashi. Elo shenichmaru rachma boisasho. He softened up, and he became full of rachmanis. Yaakov davened. Yaakov gave presents. Yaakov humbled himself. He said the brachas more mekoyim, and he said, "Oy bazoi, ilacha ashalach, you can have it. The brachas. If the brachas anyway don't affect me in any way, Adrab, I'm the big boss. I'm the big, the big charm, and I'm the big fame, and I'm the big champion. So everybody fears me. So why? So Rashi says, V'noshkei b'choli ben, he kissed him with his whole heart. So one pshat is he really kissed him. When he kissed him, he had the frame of mind, and he was for 1 second the tshuva, and 1 second he humbled himself to the holiness of Yaakov and Yosef, and to the koich HaTorah of Yisachar, and he saw it in Yaakov. He saw that Yaakov really wanted to keep all the mitzvahs, and he tried, and he thought about it, and he yearned for it, and he missed it, and he saw Yaakov even keep it of aim. So those moments he couldn't help himself but cry. He couldn't help himself but become emotional, and he couldn't help himself and feel like, why should I fight him now? And he kissed him with the ganze heart. Something in him, the pintala, the fact what the nitzes came outward, and he reacted upon that. And then he tells him, in those moments, he says, "Ki al you mamish, I see Hashem, I see godliness in your eyes, I see godliness in your face. You're shining right now. Right now, you're doing good. The problem is that it says afterwards that Esav says afterwards, Vayoshev bayomu Esav l'darkei seira. He went back to Seira again with the brachas, again tightness and minus, and he couldn't handle it. And we said at the beginning of share, he had to go away. He didn't want to participate, and so and he doesn't want to go through Egypt, doesn't want to go through Mitzrayim, and so on. So if you do the first pshat of Rashi, and Rashi says, Shloi noshkei b'chol liboy. And now the Medrash says that he wanted to bite Yaakov, and it became like became like stone. So if you go to that, you can see why it's not good. Why it's Vayishlach is Vayomer Hachi Koro Shmo Yaakov Vayakveni. If you take the Rosh Hashanah of Vayishlach and you read it not the way it's supposed to, it says dots on it. So read it hindsight. Read it, the other way is Vov is Vayomer Hachi Koro Shmo Yaakov Vayakveni. He held me back. That's why he bit him. That's why he wanted to bite him, because he felt that he took away. So even in the moment that he hugged and kissed him, he really wanted to hurt him. He really wanted to bite him. It reminds me of a story that there were two ladies, two sisters, and they weren't in talking terms, and they hated each other. After many years, so when one of them, the older one, was almost 100 years old in bed in the hospital, so she called as if to make peace with her younger sister, which was also over 95. And the younger sister was still walking around, fully engaged in life, and she's almost dying. And she sort of wants to, make amends. So she asked if they can bring her sister. Now, she couldn't walk, but she could still function with her hands and a face and a head. She can still move around a little bit in bed, the oldest one, but she felt she's giving way. So before she loses her last koiches, so she asked they should bring her sister. And when they brought the sister, she was excited. What? My older sister is making amends. She's not angry at me anymore. Before, I guess she's dying because she wants to come up with him. So she goes and she says, bend down, bend down. He wants to sort of kiss her. And when she bent down, she took her head and bit into her younger sister's neck, trying to kill her. But Baruch Hashem, she didn't have teeth and it didn't work. But the point is that the Esav, even the moment that he's sort of coming together, Vayishlach, he pretended as if he wants to kiss him, but he really tried to bite him, according to Rashi. It says after that, and he saw the ladies and the children, and he says, Mi Vayishlach, who are they to you? Again, it's not me. Hashem gave it to me. Now, when Yaakov speaks about what he amassed, he doesn't tell him about the kids, the wife and kids. Why not? So we asked the Kasha. Yaakov said he's trying to brag about, I amassed a lot of shor v'chamor. So why is he Eitzigon? And the teretz is that Yaakov lav dafki is Eitzigon. On one hand, we said, I deserve it. I went through Lovin. My father thought that, like we said at the beginning. And on the other hand, he can say that the more that you cause me pain, the more I have shor v'chamor, I'm going to gain on the deals. Don't even try. It'll be counterproductive. But on the other hand, he's saying, Vayili shor v'chamor. Yaakov is saying, no, I'm giving it all to you. I didn't get the brachas didn't work on me. I'm giving it all to you. I amassed a lot. Now, Esav is not going to hate him. Why isn't Esav going to hate him? Esav says the more he amassed, and if it's coming to me, if it's coming my way, then adarabah. So that's one pshat. But another pshat is Yaakov says, I'm giving you that away, but kids and wife, that's the future. That's olam haba. It has nothing to do with materialistic. Adarabah, the people in Western Europe, many of them don't get married, don't have children because they're selfish. You can have a much easier life. Amol, they got married because they wanted the help from the wife, and Amol, the wife usually outlived the man. And Amol, they wanted the children. I invest in you today, tomorrow. When I'm old, today there's old age home. The government provides, and all organizations. What do they need to get married and limit themselves to take care of children, crying babies, changing pampers, panosa, paying tuition, and all that? No, they want to go. They want to be free, a frei Vogel. They want to be free. So Yaakov says, women and children. That's olam haba. That's the future. You want to enjoy right here and now. So that's why he didn't mention to Esav. But it says over here, they bowed down. Then Leah and the children, and then Yosef and Rachel. Yosef protected Rachel, and he stood before Rachel. What was the protection? For 2 seconds? In a half a minute, they'll pass by, and Esau will see Rachel. What's the protection? The protection is Yosef had the Kedusha, such intensity of Kedusha, that Esau sees him, he can't look at Rachel in the same way as a physical object that he can do Avedis with and grab. So the fact that Yosef stood and he shined with his Kedusha, that threw Esav off so badly that he didn't have the frame of mind to intend to harm Yosef, Rachel, even spiritually. And he asked him, why did they call him Machna? And he says, Lim Tzachim. And Esav says, Yeshli Rov, Ochi Yilecha Ashloch. He's accepting the fact that Yaakov got the brachas, have what you have, because the Yaakov gave away what he got from Lavan from his hand, not from Birchas Hashem. And Yaakov also gave away everything that wasn't kosher. What does he need non-kosher animals? So he gave it away to Esav. Okay, Shane. Well, many of them, Machloikas and Shoinim, Machloinim, if you're talking about 550, 580, lots of animals, lots of cattle. And then he says, Nisav and Elecha ve'elchel nigdecha. And he says, no, the kids will, my master knows that Kelodim Rakim, they're Shvach, and the Tzayin Olos Leid Fokim Yemechad B'Mesuk, let's say they might die in one day. You go ahead and I'll get to you. Now, Yaakov is not lying. Yaakov is saying if he would keep with the same second shot Rashi V'Shekeu, and he kissed him with his whole heart, Nichmenu Rachamov, and he came and saw the truth of Yaakov, and he said, you know what, maybe let me not hate him for a second. Maybe I can actually serve him and help him out and protect the Jew. But you know what, it was like after the Holocaust type of thing. But after they didn't last, they couldn't last that more than 5 minutes, unfortunately. So Esau went back to his harsh ways, so Yaakov never came. But he intended that if you can see eye to eye, bakasha. But over here it says, what's pshat? He says they're weak. Now, how can I catch up to you? Why? Because Esau doesn't keep Shabbos. Yaakov keeps Shabbos. So Esau, the whole Shabbos he traveled, and then the next day he's going to have to run twice as fast, and the young kids and the vulnerable won't be able to handle. And then every Shabbos again, Nacham al Oitcha. So after a few weeks, we'll be behind a week, and we'll try to catch up. It's not Shaykh. Esau, please go your way. And it was pretty rational. Okay. The Yaakov and the Yaakov says, I don't need any, thank you for your help and I appreciate it. V'Yaakov nosa sukoisa, v'ibn le'bois nosa sukos. So for the people, he built a house, and then for the mikneo, for the animals, he built sukkos, which tents. What's the sukkahs? What's when you're making a big deal of sukkahs because you made a tent? Thank you. What's the big deal? And the tenant says, Chazal teach. It's interesting that until Yaakov, I don't know, but that's what it says in the Medrash. Apparently, that till Yaakov, nobody protected the animals in such a way. Tend to them, put them in barns, put them in tents. Who, what, where? Animals outside. Who protects them from rain and elements? No. So Yaakov made sukkahs. That Yaakov showed care not only for Hashem's creation. That was very special. Yaakov shalom yeshem ashberes kanan. Shalom Gufa, Shalom Moina, Shalom Terasai. You got to be full in every way. If you want to inspire, you want to be an influencer, you want to be mashpi, not a mush, but you have to be Shalom Terasai, of course. But Shalom Gufa, you have to take care of your body also. You have to eat healthy. Don't put garbage in your body. Now, I'm not telling anybody what to do, but everybody has the Yitzhara. But putting garbage into your body is not respecting the body that Hashem gave you. It's a kodesh hakadoshim. It's Aron kodesh, and you have to protect your body. So amol, with measure. If you want a sweet tooth, and you want a little sweet dessert, nothing wrong. But to overdo it without control, that's harming the body. And so shalom b'gufa and shalom b'moina. Also with the money, you have to have money if you want to do chesed. You can do a little chesed without money. But if you want to go big time, you have to have money. It doesn't have to be your money. You can take partners that they have money and together run some projects. But the shalom, that's shleimus. So he comes vayichanas b'neir, and then he buys the soda, and this is and then we get to the story with Dinah. Now, Yaakov was punished that he held Dinah. He didn't want Dinah to be defiled. He didn't want Esav to molest her and to rape her, chas v'shalom. So what was the Aveda? You see, Isha has a murdik koyach. Isha is supposed to be dvash. Dvash is 306, just like the gematria of Isha, same numerical value. Isha is supposed to be sweet, and the sweetness of dvash, the stickiness and the sweetness encapsulate the whole geschäft, encapsulates the whole geschäft, and it turns everything into sort of kosher, tahor, and so on. It takes over the thing. It changes but only if it's dvash. It's got to be sweet as dvash, and it's got to with the whole intensity. So Chazal teach. I remember the story. Everybody knows the story. There was a husband and wife, and they were both good people, but they got divorced and have children and so on. So the kids said they got divorced. I can't mention the details right now, but the point is that she married a different couple that got divorced, right? And they were both evil. The other couple that was divorced, they were both evil. He ended up marrying the evil wife, and she turned this tzaddik from a man into evil, and the tzaddik's wife married the evil man, turned him to tzaddik. That is davash. You can take, they have the koyach and use it. We have to tell it to the women because they do have the koyach to take any person to change them if they're genuine, if they're soft, they're caring, they're kind, and it's not about themselves. It's not. They don't go in competition with the husband. If they strive that the husband and they glean, they shine when the husband has success. That woman is gonna have such an effect on the husband, and when they go in competition with the husband, then they're gonna have competition, and nothing good comes out of that. So if the Dinah would have gone, she could have changed Esav. Nobody could change Esav, only that Dinah. So maybe Leah, Dinah's mother, but she gave up that opportunity, and Dinah, so the Taina was, so what happened to Dinah? Did she do much better for herself in life? No. Shechem ben Chamor ended up raping her. So what's the ganze? And later on, she took Eev. After Eev lost his wife, she took Eev and converted him, as Chazal teach, and she was Eve's wife. But again, she had to take somebody not Jewish and convert him to Judaism and to live with him. The point is that clearly you didn't do better, right? You can say Esav is evil and is somebody, maybe. But the point is she had the koyach. She could have, and there was Tainus and Yaakov. Okay. Now we come to Chamor comes and he captures Dinah. and he rapes her, and so on. Yaakov kept quiet, but the sons were hot-headed, Shimon and Levi especially, and they go and they kill out. Betach. What's the betach? Why are you so sure? So it's a plain words, but betach is that do a bris. If you do a bris, then you're Jewish. And if you're Jewish, who's going to stick up for you? Nobody. So I can do whatever you want. Now, what are you killing them for? They did nothing. Shem did the raping, and his father supported him. Okay, so those two go. Why everybody else? They were accomplices. If you live in a certain place, I know everybody says in Gaza, they're all holy. Who am I to know? But one thing is for sure. If you live in a place and they rape and murder, and you enjoy it, and you rejoice on the streets, I'm sorry. Not for me to judge. I know what really goes on. Maybe there are a lot of righteous people that I don't know, I'm not aware. But if the city doesn't judge those culprits and those ganovim and those rapists and those people who do harm to humanity, to society, and you don't judge them, you're as guilty as they are. Because nobody does anything unless it's mikubal. In Israel, there's a word mikubal, it's accepted. If the neighbors don't tolerate, the block doesn't tolerate, the community doesn't tolerate, you're not going to get away with it, and you won't do it. You'll be deterred to do it. It's not going to be kedai. It won't be worthy. They'll ruin your life. They'll ship you off. They'll throw you out. And if you know that, you won't do it. And if it's accepted in the community, you can do something so evil to a girl, an innocent girl, and molest her, and nobody says anything. You're all accomplices now. So, now they did a bris, they want to come, so maybe they don't have a Vedas anymore. So Yaakov Tain is achartem oisi lavisheni. Achartem is mechoar. In this sense, is you made me dirty, you made me not clear. Rashi gives a second shot, with the wine. If you have clear wine and all the pieces on the bottom, and then you shake up, who asked you to shake up? Now the whole thing, Yaakov's now decomposed. He can't think clear. Now everybody hates him. He's saying he's supposed to have all the people around. Now, until then, what did everybody say? Yeah, we know down the line, and probably in a few hundred years, the Jews are going to come and take over. We know that. We took it away. Chum took it away from shame, and it's going to be returned to the Eniklich of shame. They knew that. But so they thought they don't have to fight us. But now that we're coming and we're shaking up the whole Geshev, so Yaakov says, now they're going to come. I'm totally decomposed. I'm mixed up. I can't think straight. I'm just thinking the whole time, worrying the whole time, they might come attack us. So what did the son say? Achartem oisi lavisheni. Ovesh. It's ekeldik, it's repulsive. We're repulsive to everybody. They hate us now. They want to spit us out. They can't take us. They see a Jew, they go Meshuggah. Literally get violent right away. Why do you have to shake them up? Leave them alone. So, what's the taina? The taina is, what do you mean? What? It's a hefgewelt? You can do whatever you want to a Jewish girl, to a pure girl? We can't let that happen. So, there's a two-way machlok. Let's work this out and say, what is Yaakov taina and what's Shimon Levi taina? First of all, Yaakov taina is they're going to hurt us, and the brothers say, no, Yaakov, that's what we did a bris. We had it all worked out. A bris, nobody's going to touch them. Nobody's going to protect them. So you don't have the whole world against you. That's number one. You don't have everybody, you're not repulsive to everybody. You're not ekelhaftik to everybody because they have a bris. Everybody thinks they're Jewish. They didn't really mean it. They want our beautiful girls and the money and the daughters of Yaakov, and they want our money. That we're successful. So that's not the issue here. The issue is, I have to go for a second. Yaakov Avinu, he's worried twofold. First of all, Yaakov is not afraid himself. Vaygal Yaakov, he took the stone off from Malpia Bay. He took it off. He's a powerful. He's clearly very strong. He's clearly one of the pshatim. Vayetzeloi, he's afraid to kill Esav. I mean, there's a match there. He's strong. When it comes to him, that's not his issue. He does. He fought the Sar Shalais of the Malach. Yaakov is very strong. You can't beat Yaakov. It's not easy. The done deal. Yaakov's afraid of Eim Albonim in the future generations. He's afraid. I'll withstand. But if you open up a can of worms, what the vulnerable Einiklach going to do in the future generations? Yaakov doesn't want to rock the boat in that sense. That's number one. Number two, Yaakov is the issue. Yaakov says, that Yaakov married two sisters. How could he marry two sisters? So Yaakov Tain is kekotn shenoiladami. If you're a ger, then you're like a kotn shenoilad. And if you're kotn shenoilad, you don't have relatives. And if you don't have relatives, so it's not two sisters. They were once two sisters with this two new neshamas. It's not sisters. And if they're not sisters, I can stay married to them. Now, if you go and do away with the bris that they did, what in essence you're saying that there's no such a thing as kekatan shenoiladami. That ger, why? What does Shimon Levi taina? They taina that's after Matan Torah. There's kekatan shenoiladami. Right now, there's no such there's no such a rule of kekatan shenoiladami. Ger is kekatan shenoiladami. After Matan Torah, there's such a in gerus. A chalois and gerus that comes from, and therefore, so Yaakov says, "V'nishmadati ani uvesi," because why ani uvesi? Because now I have no rights to live. I broke every rule. I have no rights to live Rachel and Leah together, two sisters. So v'nishmati, you were trying to kill ani uvesi. So that's another time. But Lamaisa, what are they saying in Pashup Shat? They're saying we sincerely told them, do a bris, but it has to be for the right reasons. They didn't do a bris for the right reasons. They want our money and our fame and our power and our beauty and everything else. That's what they meant. And if they meant that, so Yaakov says, Oivei, now we're in trouble. So what do they say? They taina, yeah. They were in pain. What means b'yosim koyevim? So there's two pshatim. One pshat b'yosim koyevim is the third day is the most painful day. Another pshat is no, not the third day is the most painful day. You have to find out. This is a medical thing. I don't know. But you can say also b'yom hashlisha b'yosim. They had pain for 3 days, and they had charota on the bris. If you have charota on the mitzvah, you lose the mitzvah. They lost the protection of bris. Now they're poshet accomplices. So what do they do? So it says, what happened over here? This brings us back to the beginning of the parsha. Yaakov uses bris milah. Why? Because al charbachotichya Esav lives on a cherev. You have to come with your cherev to his cherev. What's Yaakov's cherev? It's the milah. It's the knife for the milah. The cherev pifias biyodom. It's two-sided over here. So Yaakov answers Esav with the cherev, with the milah. So over here, they come here with ish charbay v'yoir betav v'arkol zocha. They kill every zocha. They kill them. Why? Because you had charot on the milah. You don't have the protection. And then after that, but then they took din of Beishchem Beitzedin. So what happened over here? What happened is they first killed the city, the town, and then they killed them. Why not kill the culprits first? They're the main. The tenant says no. Why did they kill the city? Because you're accomplices. You were in it together with them. Why? Because you weren't done them. You didn't judge them. You didn't do judgment with them. Now, if you kill Chamor and Shechem, if you kill Shechem ben Chamor with his father Chamor, right? So then, why are you killing the town? Because you're not being done. But there's nobody. You just killed Chamor and Shechem. You killed Chamor and his son Shechem. Who am I supposed to be done now? I'm off. Again, as long as you're not if they would be done right now, they're not accomplices anymore. But you're not doing din with Shem and Hamor, his father. So you're accomplice. I'm killing you. But if you kill first Shem and his father Hamor, then you killed them already. Now who am I supposed to be done? There's nobody to be done, so you can't kill them. So that's why it first killed them, and then they killed Shem and Hamor. And then the sons of Yaakov, which is not Shimon and Levi, the sons, they took the thing. Okay, it's machloikus in okay. So the famous story of a famous story. Everybody knows the story, but I want to explain just the pasuk that it's not the way everybody thinks. There's a famous story with the Pinchas Mikoris met from Koretz, met it's probably, I don't know, maybe an hour away. I've been to those cities, those towns. Pinchas Mikoritz and met Ostra with the Marsha, I was aided in the Marsha. So in the same cemetery, there's an oil of the Marsha, and then there's a tombstone or matzeva of Rabbi Yebi from Ostra, the city Ostra in Ukraine. And the Rabbi Yebi, each one tined, what's the reason we're having tzaros right now? So the Pinchas Koretzel, Koretzer said, what do you mean? It's sneers from the women. You have the Yisai Mois and Almonas. They go, they prepare food, chicken and meat and fish and so on, and they bring it to the Peritzim, and they go, there can be yichud over there, and it can be trouble, they can be inspired, influenced rather than inspired, and they're putting their life in jeopardy. They can go and molest them and rape them, chas v'sholom. You can never know where you go wait for these paritzim. It's a big brach, but they need to make money, so they don't have money, so they go and sell their products, their food, the bakings and the cooking, the kitzes, so the baked goods and the kitzes chatzorah, and that's why. So Rabbi Yebi said, but 1 second. That's not the whole Klal Yisrael. There's a few people, it's not the vast majority. I think what the bigger brach is, talking by davening. They come to the shuls and talk by davening. That's the big brach. You're standing before Hashem and you're spitting in his face. I mean, come on, how could you do worse? You don't have a bigger chutzpah than that. So they had the Chumash Bereshis in front of them, and they decided, let's open the Chumash, let's see what God says. It's sort of a goydel type of thing. So they open the Chumash, and the pasuk throws himself out to the eyes. Says the Pinchas Koretz, you see, it's a hefgevelt. They're going to treat us, our daughters, our sisters, like a zoina, like a harlot. So therefore, I'm right. So he says, well, I want to remind you. You remember the Targum Yosim and Azil? You remember the Talmud Yerushalmi? So what does it say? So they opened, I don't know, the cross, I don't know what they had then. And they opened, they said, I forgot the Lashon. It shouldn't be said b'beis knishtin. I forgot the Lashon. It shouldn't be said in the beis knishtin. And everybody says, see, the story is you shouldn't talk in shul. The pasuk Chal doesn't talk about that. What they're saying is with the children of Yaakov, because I actually made it my business to look up. And once I looked up, now I know the meaning. It says it shouldn't be said in the shuls and conditions where we gather, the gatherings at basic Knesset sort of. It shouldn't be said that the Arelin came and they those that don't have a covenant with God, so they have no shaykhis, and they don't promote him and are not loyal to him and are against him in essence. And they'll come and grab one of God's children, one of our children, and they'll molest them and defile them, chas v'chalila, and nothing happened to them. Adarabba, it should be said that somebody came and tried to defile our daughters, and look what happened to them. That's the pasuk. That's the Targum says. So a play on words, that they're both right. It's a nice story. It's a nice chsiddush that he's right, that Hachazoni Yasa Chassidinu talks about the preachers and also talks about being vulnerable for preachers and don't put your life into such a situation. And also talks about talking by davening. But you know what? So I thought they're both one and the same. That's being a harlot, coming into shul and stealing the Yenim show. We're talking to Hashem now. Hashem is communicating with us. We're communicating with Hashem through the davening, and Hashem to us through His Torah and learning and learning the Torah. And you come and you're replacing the wife, you're replacing the spouse, you're replacing. So of course that's a harlot. So you're trying to replace it. Why? What's wrong with a kelef? Kilev. He replaces the love of a spouse, and he gives you more unconditional love. I don't believe unconditional love from a dog, an echte dog. You have to pat it all the time, play with it all the time, and take its abuse all the time, and all the smell and the stink and all this what is it called? This saliva. If it's a big dog, it's going to smear your whole place. The stench and the stink, and many of them don't want to go into the shower. But you have to invest, and you have to give it to eat. You have to take it to the veterinarian. You need it. You need to invest a lot in a dog. And I'm not against if somebody needs a dog, but I'm not talking about if you need it for shmira or company for old per. I understand that. But the point is that before you invest, there's a lot of investment. The kids want dogs. All the kids, they love little puppets. What is it called? Not puppet. Poodles and little puppies they love, but nobody wants to clean after that. I remember we once had all these little, and no kids want to clean. They want a clean, fresh thing after shower, after you have to invest. I don't get it. So it's not unconditional, but the point is kill lave. It's like it wants to take over the heart. So that is achazoni asa. So Tain is Shimon and Levi. What? You got to be kidding! They can come in here and get away with it, and team up with the terrorists and not pay for it, or they're going to pay big time. Yaakov's taina was that you overdid it. Yaakov's taina was that if they did a bris, they did tshuva, and now they're cut and they said no. Why? Because they had charot, they never meant it to begin with, and that charot, and therefore. Okay, I just want to get, I see, what is it, 2 hours already? Oh, everybody, no time for stories, but here, I just want to say for 1 second. Yaakov, this is for Hanukkah, okay, maybe I'll save it for Hanukkah, but I just want to say, according to what we said before, Rashi says, Vayishlach, Esav left, and he says he doesn't want to go through. He doesn't need the whole Mitzrayim, and he doesn't need this whole land that you get after Mitzrayim. I don't need all that pain and torture. So he doesn't want to. He wants all pleasure and all easy and so on. And if he has to pay for it, he has to invest. He wasn't interested. So he said. Rashi says, not in the maton of this land, not to pay off the shtar what you owe the 400 years in Mitzrayim and so on. Rashi says, this is an interesting, cute thing here. He wants to, if he gets the brachas, then that means he needs the bechorah. He doesn't want. He's embarrassed of the bechorah that he sold the bechorah. What is he embarrassed? What is he embarrassed? What Esau is embarrassed? What does he care? See, here's the thing. Esau says to himself, he's going to die. Why is he going to die? He's a thief, he's a crook, he's a street thug. And he takes his risk. Every time he leaves his house, his wife and kids don't know if he's going to come back home. He shoots and they shoot, and one day he might not come back home. He never believed he'll outlive his father. Esau believed for sure he'll die before his father because he's a thug, and that's what happens to mafia. They get shot at every day and so on. So in that life that he chose, that lifestyle that he chose, that set of values that he chose, he said, wasn't he b'chayr for? So what was the cheshbon? Esau wasn't stupid. He tried to outsmart Yaakov. How did he outsmart Yaakov? The halacha is, if a b'chayr goes when he's like, it's like selling your life insurance, sort of. Not the same, but sort of. The idea. If somebody says, I want to sell my b'chayr, what's a b'chor? Nothing to do with the base of Mikdash, nothing to do with holiness. Tosha, the b'chor gets pishnayim. The b'chor gets twice the amount. So if he gets twice the amount as every brother, he says he wants to sell it now for a short. He needs up to a few $1,000s. When the father dies, he'll get much more. So he sells it, and the guy says, "Why not? I'm going to get much more later. I don't need the money now. I can wait 10 dozens of years. What do I care?" If you sell the bechorah and if the person dies before his father, so he never inherited bechorah. He never inherited bechorah. So this whole transaction, the mechira, never worked. And when he died, so the fact that he dies, it makes everything void. And when his father dies, the enikel, his son, is going to get the bechorah, as it's supposed to be. But if his father dies first, then the whole kinyan was a kinyan. The transaction was a transaction. That was the deal. That is, the father dies first, and he's supposed to get the bechorah. And ahead of time, he sells it to his brother. This chayvus to his brother, that his brother gets the double portion for the amount that he sold, and he could do it. Esav never believed that his father will die before him. And therefore Esav told Yaakov, yeah, I sell you the bechorah, no problem. He knew that if he gets the bechorah, he gets the double portion, he gets his Yisrael, he gets the brachas, he gets everything. But he tried to outsmart, he didn't know he'll make it to 63, so he tried to outsmart. So what's his cheshbon? I'll tell you, yeah, whatever you want. I'm asking, here's a shtar, whatever you want, I'll sign whatever you want. Now, tell me with the dotted lines, I sign. Let's say. Now, what happens? He dies before his father, and now his sons, his Yerushim, his descendants, his inherent, and Yaakov, whatever gave him, he wanted something from Yaakov, whatever Yaakov, and that time was Nizid Adoshim, but whatever it was, he gave him, and he got his way, and he gets his way later. What happens is Yaakov outsmarts Esav. How? Because Hashem, Yaakov dies the same day as Esav, buried the same day as Esav. So now his father dies, and after his father's burial, after Yitzchak dies, it turns out that his father died before him. Now Yaakov gets the brachas, and he's bushed out. Says Rashi, because the busha, because he sold it. He feels like a fool. You sold it because you thought it's going to be void because you're going to die before your father. End up your father dying before you. You bushed out. Check. So keep thinking on. Now I want to just for a second go to Yaakov fighting Sarah Shalesav. The Sarah Shalesav, he says, he benched him. So let's go to the whole pasuk. He saw he can't. He hit him in the leg, and then you have Gidanosha, right? And he Allah Shacha earlier, before the time that they bowed to the sun. So it says the sun, and the Tzvah Shemayim, they have to go into the water. Sort of, it looks like they go into the water. That's for the eyes of the person, because they have to sort of toivel, because people bow down to the sun. So you can't have the benefits of the sun of it. But he made Hashem made Alosh Shacha earlier. Now the sun was able to heal Yaakov before people start bowing down to the sun. Okay, that's a little information. But he tells him, Vateka kafierechach b'hov k'imay, and it was hurt. Where was the kafierech Yaakov? And of the hip, there's a gidanosha there, and the gidanosha was hurt. Alkein lo yochlu b'nei Yisrael is gidanosha there. Okay, now what's gidanosha? Yeah, that's it. The fast days. You have Gimel Yudalid and Es Gid Aleph Sof. Aleph is Esther. That's Taina is Esther. Tov is Tishabov, and the Gid is Gimel Tishrei is Gedalia, and then you have Yud is Asora B'Tevis, and you have Dalid is Tzayim Harvi. Gid is also this 17 is the 17th of December Harvi. Okay, so you have that, but the Tomchei Torah are hurt. The pockets. He tried to make it difficult for the Jews. So you have Jews that have an easy fundraising, and then you have those that don't have, they're not easy fundraising, and they have the purest intent, and they do the holiest work. But Esav. So there's a famous thing that somebody, I forgot which rabbi it was, he told him, you're going to Daven, and you're going to Israel, you're going to Hebron, and Esav's head is there. Say you Asach Bazork, You took care of your Einiklach. Now give a little money for the Gidan. You made it so difficult for us with the Gidanosha, with the pockets. So give a little to your nephews also. Okay, right. So he tells them, no, you have to bench me. What is Yaakov? He needs a bracha from the Sar Shaleis to the Satan. He needs the acknowledge that the brachas are fairly and truly mine. And until he acknowledges, he says, I'm not letting you go. And then he asks him, what's his name? He says, Yaakov. Lo Yaakov Kim Yisrael. If you want to have the brachas, you have to change your name to Yisrael. Famous kasha. His name should have been Tuchel, not Yisrael. Yisrael means Sarisa. You struggled, you fought. Vatuchel means that you overcame him. So as gekent, you were able to, you were capable, so the point is, by a Jew, it's not about winning. It's about trying. It's about who you become in the process. So that's why we name Sarisa of Sar Yisrael. Okay. Yaakov says, I want to put in a tradition of my children how to fight the Esav. Tell me your name. What's your essence? And he answered him, Lo is my essence. Every time different, depends on you, what you need. I come to test you. I come to build up your muscles. And my job is to ruin your life. And every time different. So if I give you one name, I have many essence. It's according to every person. And that's why, and then he says, I just want to finish with a little story. Very late. I want to finish for 1 second with a little story of Kibbutz David. We said the story many times, but it's very important. There's one question that everybody has after the Holocaust, and we'll get to that question. Famous story, grandfather comes to the Einiklach, comes to the grandchildren, and they see that the mother asked them to take out the garbage or whatever it was, and everybody says, why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Everybody footballs to the other one. Go, mommy asked somebody else, and nobody wanted to do it. And the grandfather was totally distraught, and he couldn't believe it. So he got them together. He said, 1 second. He asked his daughter or daughter-in-law, I don't know what the relationship was, but he asked them, could I have the kids for a second? He gathered all the kids together in the next room. And he says, I want to tell you a little story about myself that I never told you. So he said that his mother and father, they were very precious people and very nice people and tzaddikim and everything else. And he had a whole array of boys and girls in the family, a lot of siblings. And the Nazis came and they put them, between the wagons, and they told to the right, the father, you're right, the camera's right. The father goes to the right, that's later it was to labor camp, the left goes to everybody going to the death. So naturally, the mother and all the kids, he was a teenager, but his mother, a young teenager, but his mother went and Nebachte to the mother and all the kids to the side, to the left side, left train, and she was on the train. And then she realized in her bags, her husband forgot the talis and tefillin by her. So she urged him, but it was very dangerous to go from one train to the other train because there were a bunch of German Shepherd's dogs barking like crazy, and the Germans could have shot the kid and beat him up and then shoot him, and he was afraid. And of course, he wanted to protest. Mommy, he's going to death if he goes. He's not going to go into the den of these animals and the dogs. But he said, look, I'm going to throw it to one of my brothers and sisters. My mother asked me, I'm being moist nefesh to bring Tati the talis and tefillin. And he looked and closed his eyes sort of and ran and dodged through the dogs, and he was petrified. And he ran for a few seconds, and he got to the other train, jumped on the train, and he started to look for his father. He called out his father, and for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes he couldn't find him until he finally found him between many hordes of people. And he finds, what are you doing here? And he says, Mommy asked me to bring you the talis and tefillin. And the kids, now he's going out to run back to Mommy. The point is that he never made it to the door, squeezing between the people. They ready to close the door. The train started to move. And through cracks or windows, I don't know what it was, he saw his mother's train also moving. That, no use, that's it. That was the last time he saw his mother and all his siblings. They all got killed out, and he was the only one. And his question after the war, for dozens of years, for decades and decades, why me? Why me? Why me? Why did he survive? Nobody else. Why him? So he tells his Einiklach, if I would have told my mother why me, all of you wouldn't be here. All of you fellows wouldn't be here. The fact that I wanted to question why me and I didn't. Now my question is why did I survive? Because I listened to my mother. I didn't question her. So next time your mother asks you, don't chas v'shalom, don't ask. Remember, if you would ask in my time, why me? The kids, the mother never had to ask them again. She asked the first time, nobody why me anymore, and they all did it. The koyach of kibbud aim is so powerful. You see how many people lived a long life because they were on the bedside of the father or mother or grandparents and so on. We should never take that for granted. And don't ask Hashem when Hashem puts a mission on you and he puts a mission on your plate. Don't ask why me. Ask Kotonti, why did I have the schus to get to do that? And all the brachas and all the koyach and the time and the friends and family to enjoy it. Thank you very much.